Okay. They say the game is to be told, or to be sold, and not told. Well, as I make preparations to leave the country, I can't sell this. I gotta tell you. On Jamal, page not hijacked yet Watkins on Facebook.com, I had something called lecture number 7 and said that I would speak more on it at a later date. This is it. There's the reality of the game when it comes to hustling in the streets, and I'm going to focus on the drug game. Take crack, which I've made no secret of it, I used to smoke. Well, I've seen people take a hit and the hit take them. I knew as long as I chose to smoke, I'd rather smoke the drug and not let the drug smoke me. I got a job at one point. I also had what I called my 2 o'clock rule. I worked Monday through Friday. Come 2 o'clock p.m. on Sunday, it didn't matter what I was doing, I'd drop it all and go home. Get something to eat, get showered, get sobered up, give myself enough time to level out so I could go to work the next day. And I'd work all week long and not get high again until the weekend. It wasn't uncommon for me to, at 2 o'clock, still have something left over and actually save it until Friday. Did you ever hear of leftover crack? I have. I used to do it. One of the biggest problems that the streets have is that, take crack for example, it tends to bring out the worst in people. It can make a nun a streetwalker in one hit. It can make a sage or a guru a thief and a liar in one hit. It can make a straight man turn gay in one hit. I've seen it bring out the worst in people. It's almost brought out the worst in me at times. But the reality is this. As it brings out the worst in people, it's tearing them down. People on the streets who only care about money and power and rely on things like drugs for it. You can never build anything that will last on top of something that's already torn down. If you're trying to get rich or just trying to make it and you're relying on a bunch of torn down people for that, then what you're building is built on what's torn down. It's only a matter of time till it crumbles. When life is lived from the inside out, things won't be perfect until the perfect comes. And people are going to do what they choose to do. Imagine you control a 1-block radius with 4 complexes. Each complex has 100 people in it. Say you're a crack dealer. In each complex, 80 people are smoking. You take the best complex, those 80 people have self-esteem, self-worth. Maybe they're working, maybe they're not. In the worst complex, none of that exists. Out of those 80 people in the best complex, worst case scenario, somebody gets into an argument and the police get called. In the complex that's the worst, best case scenario, you go a week or 2 without police activity. What I'm saying is, when it comes to your clientele, those that only care about money and power, they're weak. And they'll look for the weakest people, those with no self-esteem, those with no respect for themselves, and therefore no one else. Those who will do anything and everything just for their next hit, because that's all they have to get by on. Those that they can control with a carrot on a stick called a bot. And those are the people that bring the heat. The people who is always running around robbing somebody, setting somebody up. The reason why the DEA, the FBI, the police come in. The reality is, they all know, law enforcement knows crime ain't gonna end. Now, if you take an area like, say, that best complex, that best case scenario complex, even if they know what's going on, odds are they'll leave it alone. Because those people are not making themselves a menace to society. They're not causing trouble, even though what they're doing could technically be considered illegal. They're not causing troubles and issues with what they choose to do. They still handling their business. Their kids still fed. Their houses still clean. That worst case scenario, they always showing up to a stabbing, to somebody being robbed, to somebody being burgled. And that's eventually going to lead up the chain to the people who are supplying the people acting like that. If you take the time to build people up from the inside out, love, honor, dignity, respect. When I would quit and people would see me quit cold turkey like that, sometimes they'd be like, I wish I was that strong. I'm not as strong as you. I tell them, yeah, you are, but the thing is, your perspective isn't right. You don't have to be as strong as me, just be as strong as you. If you know you can do 20 push-ups and you get down and you can only do one at that time, keep doing push-ups. As long as you keep doing the push-ups, then you know you believe in yourself enough to know you can do it. You just have to keep doing it. If you quit, then in a lot of ways you're telling yourself you never believed you could, even if you wanted to. When it comes to something like crack, if you have smokers who are strong enough to control their habit, respectful enough, first and foremost of themselves, to not be out there just doing whatever, chasing the dragon, then you can have somebody who it's like, yo, even if they walk in the street, to support their habit, they being safe, they being smart, they being respectful. They're not bringing that extra heat. They'll end up with the type of clientele that instead of just rolling down the street after the bar closes looking for somebody to give 20 bucks to, they'll sit there and kick it with them for a couple hours and give them a few hundred because they enjoy the company. And business and pleasure are intertwined. And when you look at things like the judicial branches, the privatization of prisons and everything else, there's people getting paid off the misery in the streets. And it's to their benefit to keep the streets in chaos, confusion, and disorder. To not have a bunch of strong people, people who may be addicts, who may be dealers, who may be streetwalkers, that handle things in such a way where they're still light side, life oriented. They're just living the life they're in, doing what they choose to do, and not being a detriment to themselves or anybody else when doing it. So it's like you'll have a cop rolling down the street, get flagged down by another who gives them a soda. Hey, Officer Jones, how you doing? How you doing, Carla? You caused me trouble today? Of course not. I never do. I'm just waiting for somebody to come along. I'm gonna have a good old time today. All right, will you stay safe? Yeah, I got a pocket full of condoms. You know what you're doing is technically illegal. I know, but people gonna do it anyway. I just do it in the right way. I ain't causing no trouble for you. I ain't causing no trouble for them. I ain't causing no trouble for nobody. Right on, Carla. Thanks for making my job easy. I'm gonna go deal with these real criminals who can't control themselves and running around robbing people and burgling people. All right, officer, you have a good day. Thanks for the soda. But those in the judicial branch who want to get paid off, they do things like put snitch networks in the streets to keep the streets in confusion, chaos, and disorder, keep people at each other's throats, keep the streets torn down, keep people torn down, so they'll keep themselves full. And then all that extra money that they supposedly making, where do you think it's going? Most of it's going to keep the chaos, confusion, and disorder going. And that's just on the paid tip. That doesn't include if you throw in there things like beliefs in racial superiority. Oh yeah, these people is inferior, so we got to make sure we keep them torn down. You got to look at the realities of weak people. Birds of a feather flock together. Those who believe in nothing but money and power and don't care about people, they trying to build something strong on top of torn down people. When you look at the trickle down of things, they're not truly as powerful as those that can arrest them for what they do. There's a few up there, who can tell a cop what to do like that, but most can't. And the cops will do their best to keep those individuals on a short leash, because if they don't, they'll wind up on a short leash. And with the racial inferiority thing, if they truly believe that they're superior to, say, this neighborhood or that neighborhood, they'll do everything they can to make sure that those people they believe are inferior always match that inferior perspective. You get the people in the neighborhood to build each other up regardless of what they're doing, regardless of what's going on. They'll always be strong enough to stand together, and they can truly be roses that grow from concrete. But as long as you have people who only care about money and power, you ain't never gonna have nobody around you you can truly trust. Because the more material you get, when the materialistic things ain't as abundant in the streets for individuals as it is in higher class neighborhoods, more money, more problems. The more you get, the people you with, you gotta watch them and keep your enemies close, because they'll stab you in the back to have what you got. So I've been going on for over 11 minutes now. I'm trying to keep this short. I could go for a couple hours easy, but I'm not trying to. Just wanted to give you some food for thought. Regardless of who you are or what you do, never forget that you are worthy and deserving of love, honor, dignity, and respect just because you are. You had that for yourself, you'll have it for others. And when you're strong enough to control your habit, you have true power in self-control and true power in the respect that you have for yourself and for others. And when birds of a feather flock together, you get more people like that. All of a sudden, you have a bunch of strong people who respect each other, got honor and loyalty, with self-control, they're trustworthy. And you know that, hey, if you stab these 3 people in the back, you could have made $400 in one night. But then for the next month, it's duck and cover. Or you can stand with those 3 people and it's like, yo, when we spread the wealth, we all made $80 tonight. But we can make that every day. Make it grow a little bit at a time and come up together. This video is mainly for the streets. The reality of what those in the streets are doing to us, that works side by side with the judicial branch that empowers them to do it. That's why snitches have so much power in the streets, because the judicial branch empowers them to keep the streets screwed off so they can get paid. It'd be a totally different story if what they was really trying to do is make sure that those really truly out of control weaklings that try and keep everybody else torn down ain't tearing stuff up. Those are the ones that are in power, because they're on their leash and they try and put the streets on their leash. And when the reality of that comes around, well, when the Colorado Judicial Branch tried to set me up in 2007 for a crime they know a white man did, the judicial branch is going to do me like that. This law firm don't accept my case, or I don't win this case, I'm leaving the country. I don't need to be in this country. The judicial branch got it in for me. And with who and what they got in the streets that give them power in the streets, perpetual poverty is what they've kept my life in since 1988. I don't need to be in this country. I'm already known. So if I do wind up having to leave and stay gone, God told me to tell the truth, be myself, and keep the faith. I ain't selling this to y'all, I'm giving it to you. This is my perspective on the game. Get strong people who respect themselves, respect each other, and got self-control regardless of what you choose to do. Doesn't mean that you're evil with it. You can be light side, life oriented, and still walk the streets. I'm about to tirade again. because I can go off on any particular topic that I've talked about for a long time in depth and in detail. And I'm not going to do that. I'll let people think about some of these things for themselves. This is something to think about. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Don't start being divided against yourself. And make sure that what you stand for is worth living for, worth dying for, and worth passing on. Because if your money burns up, you can't pass it on. Whether it burns up from your checkbook or from a fire. Life is lived from the inside out. May the blessings of the Lord be upon you in Jesus' name. I love you, human family.